Wes, they say to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
They do.
With that said, I think it's time to interview our guests, Mr. Jonathan Levy and Grant Denison, the poker guys from the Breakdown. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. I don't feel like I have that many enemies in the room. Jonathan is right next to me, so that's a good example of what you're talking about. I don't know what else. I mean, anybody from Minnesota, I don't know if they register enough to be considered an enemy for me. I'm not sure.
I don't think of you as an enemy,
Okay.
Grant. I know you think of me as an enemy, but I think of you as a close friend.
Oh, it's awkward. It's an awkward situation.
Yeah, but I'm excited to be on the podcast with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
That's awesome. And I want to clarify, Max wasn't specifically saying one way or the other about you guys, whether you're close or closer. You are either a friend or an enemy. And, maybe today we'll find out. So
this will clarify things a bit on our end, at least.
Well, we're excited to be here.
Grant does hate me.
Yeah, no, thankful to have you guys. And let me just go ahead and kind of tell people who aren't familiar with you what's going on. You guys are known as the Poker Guys. You host a show called The Breakdown, correct?
That is correct.
And now you've also recently started a second show called Just Go With It.
Excellent work. Thank you, Max. Yes.
We recommend everyone.
That's our pet project that nobody gives a shit about.
That's not true.
I mean, everybody who's important cares about it, but it's not a huge number of people.
Not yet.
One more thing I want to plug for you guys is also you guys co-authored a book, right?
Yeah.
Called, how was it? How did he fold that? Is that right?
Yep. I think it's How Can He Fold?
How can he fold?
Jonathan actually got it right.
Yes.
I think there are three question marks though, right?
There are 3 question marks.
And an exclamation point? No?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think there's we would never mix punctuation like that.
You gotta let people know that they're excited and like, what the hell,
I think 3 question marks equals an exclamation point.
Okay,
as
that's
far
fair.
as the veracity of the question.
I believe someone said it was the best poker book anyone would ever read. Was it you or me?
one of us might have said that.
Well,
yeah.
Let's dive into those a little bit. Could you tell us the difference between the 2 podcasts you have?
There's a huge difference. The Breakdown Poker Podcast is just hand breakdowns, although it's not like many of the hand breakdown podcasts, like I think yours sometimes does, is hands that you guys have played.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is hands that have been televised that are like causing a stir in the community, basically.
Okay.
Or are suggested by listeners. We've been doing that for 9 years. Is that right?
Yeah. Also, the other thing is we go more in depth in our breakdowns than pretty much anyone else ever.
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
We do 20 to 40 minute breakdowns of one hand. So we don't just talk about what do you think and move on. We go deep, deep, deep. We often do thought experiments. We play with an idea of what if we raised here and what hands might we raise with, and have big disagreements and everything else.
I do love the disagreements, by the way. I have a good laugh every time. It's pretty awesome.
Good. Yeah. And our disagreements are fruitful, we think, when they're actual poker disagreements. I mean, we often, there's at least a nugget of something good in the person who ends up acquiescing to the other. Sometimes somebody's just completely wrong, but for the most part, I think the reason that our podcast, I think, is successful and the reason that people like it is because it's a window directly into our thought process, because we do not prepare. And that is not just because we are extremely lazy, which we are extremely lazy, both of us, but we literally don't prepare other than knowing the details of the hand. So the listener gets an in-depth view into exactly how we're thinking as we're thinking it, not memory of what we already came up with.
Right. Yeah, we didn't work it out. You get to see us work it out and problem solve. And hopefully that, and we've heard this a lot. I mean, a lot of our listeners have gone on to some level of success. They learn how to think about things too, or at least better than they were, because they get to hear our entire thought process, not just, well, the solver said so, or I saw someone else do this. We get into, well, why would Daniel Negreanu ever check raise there? And we come up with all the possible reasons and settle on what we think is the best possible reason, or decide it's bad.
I'm envious of that, by the way, just being able to flow that smoothly, because you guys are very witty in your conversations as well. It's very strong. Wes, you had something to say.
Yeah, well, and you kind of just said it. The way you guys do your breakdowns is such a good framework for someone trying to get better at the game of like, how should you think through your own hands? And it's like, no, you don't want to think of what would the solver do. You maybe want to have an idea of what that answer would be, but that's just one piece of the puzzle, and the way you guys talk about all the different factors, think, oh, okay, we decided not to raise with this hand, but maybe there are some hands we want to raise with in this spot. So what would those be? So if we have those next time.
And before we get too far, I know we're already off on tangents here. We have the other podcast you guys have, Just Go With It.
Yeah. So the Breakdown was becoming kind of 2 podcasts on its own. We would spend about 20 minutes, sometimes more, just talking about whatever we wanted at the beginning of the podcast, because after doing it for so many years, we had established such a strong listener base of the same people who really wanted to come back and really liked the same things and liked our sense of humor and liked our cultural references, mostly Jonathan's cultural references. And that became more fun to us than the rest of the podcast. But we recognized that to the neophyte or somebody who was looking for a new poker podcast that was analytical, they might come in, be 15 minutes in and be like, what the hell am I listening to? So we decided maybe we should find another place to put that, and allow us to like kind of spread our wings and just talk about literally whatever we want in another way. So Just Go With It was born as simply a formatless podcast. It has since kind of started to grow some legs. We're not entirely finished growing it yet. We don't really know what its final form will be. But it's just us talking about whatever we want to mostly.
Yeah. I think we should rename it to Forever in Coate. Is that a good title?
No, it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this is just workshopping. It's good.
Look at this,
no
a healthy
ideas.
disagreement.
Steel
you
sharpens
guys.
steel.
That's incredible. Okay, so you got the two podcasts, the breakdown, Just Go With It. I definitely recommend everybody go and check it. I know, just to kind of touch on the podcast for a minute, Wes and I started traveling last January together. And within that time, we've probably hit 10 different stops out of state now, something around there. But Wes introduced me to you guys on our 8 to 10 hour long drives wherever we'd go, and we would just listen to your guys' episodes in bulk pretty much. Definitely helped me get pumped getting ready for the series of whatever I was going to play. So definitely appreciate that. I have not listened to the Just Go With It yet, but I definitely look forward to that. I know you guys' wit and stuff I find very funny, so I look forward to kind of hearing the other side of that separated from poker.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to the next question here. This one's kind of, I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this or not. I was digging through your Twitter, doing a little research as part of my job, right? You guys do a lot of breakdowns on hands that professionals play. What kind of interactions have you guys had with professionals after you've broken down one of their hands?
It really is a pretty wide-ranging series of reactions, I would say. We've had the really great reactions. Daniel Negreanu sent us a message after we did one of his hands, 5 years ago or something like that.
That's exciting.
Saying like, this is incredible. You nailed my thinking exactly. And we asked him if he would retweet it. And he said, I don't really want everyone to know my thinking though, which was sort of a compliment unto itself. And then I think we asked him again and he did. Like, he was very
Didn't
nice
he come
about it.
on the podcast once though?
We
He
did
did.
interview him, and we ultimately realized we are terrible interviewers.
Yeah.
And like,
Okay.
You got
what we've
D-Eggs
realized,
on
and
there.
what you
Nice.
guys will realize over time, perhaps, depending on the form your podcast takes over time, is that when listeners get established with the idea of what a podcast is, they don't necessarily want it to be something else. So even though it was Daniel Negreanu, who's maybe the biggest name in poker, it got fewer listens than our average podcast.
People are like, who wants to hear that?
Yeah.
So anyway, Daniel Negreanu really liked us. Antonio Esfandiari heard something and DM'd us and was like, hey, anytime you want me to come on, I'll come on. And then we were going out to the World Series, like maybe we can like meet up and do a video thing. He's like, absolutely. So we get stuff like that. Vanessa
That's
Seltz
incredible.
reached out to us, like really awesome stuff. But then there's the other side of it too, where I would say me more than you, Grant. Sometimes can be critical of even very famous players.
I'm critical.
Of course you are.
You have a dismissive tone.
I have a flair.
Yeah,
I'm going to call it a flair.
Yeah.
I would say the most infamous version of that is probably Matt Berkey, who they did a 45-minute, him and Christian Soto, a 45-minute video about how incompetent we were and how we were not qualified to talk about Matt Berkey's play.
Wow. I did not know this was a thing. Do you think this is because he views you as maybe a competition?
No, it's a longer story than that. And it starts with Berkey liking us.
Yeah.
Back in the
He
day.
came on one of our shows. and
Yeah,
did an
yeah.
interview too.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we had done and I like Berkey, I think. I'm not sure anymore,
I
but
think.
I did for a while at least. And I think he's good for the game overall.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we did some hands where we were like neutral or complimentary of his play. And then there was like a series of 2 or 3 hands that I think most professional players would say either Matt Berkey is on the level that only gods can reach, or he's doing something that's really not good.
Right. Which is even what we actually said,
Yeah.
even in that show. You were saying maybe he's just way far ahead. And I'm like, yeah, but this is bad, right?
Right.
Isn't this just bad? Like opening Queen 8 suited, getting 3-bet by +1, calling the 3-bet when you're only like 45 blinds deep effective in this tournament. Like, how can that be good?
Yeah. So we were especially Jonathan, but we in general were a little bit harsh on his play, but we have been on many professionals play and have had, it's just how we feel about the play.
And we've been super complimentary of his plays many, many times previous to that.
Anyway, if I think he felt betrayed because not only had we interacted before online, we had like met up at the World Series to hang out a little bit and chatted and stuff, and like it felt like there was something budding there between us and Soto and Berkey, and I think he might have felt betrayed.
Maybe
like expecting that we were on his team or something. I'm not exactly sure.
I always thought it was more that they have a coaching business. So if I say Matt Berkey is making bad plays publicly, and we actually had an audience there, we make videos and thousands of people watch them, and we have a podcast and thousands of people listen to it, that they feel that's actually hurting them. And so he clearly took it very much to heart and said he wasn't angry in the video, but was clearly very upset. And in fact, I was private messaged by people who know him and tell me he's very upset about this.
Wow. Well, can't please everybody. And another thing I kind of want to say about that is that, I feel like that while it kind of sucks to hear, or to have that sort of quarrel or whatever with him, I mean, that might help your guys' podcast in a way. I mean, think of it like the MGK and Eminem feud, right? Like they beefed with each other and now MGK got famous because of it, right?
I don't know anything about the Midwest, so
or who those people are.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
But the thing is that we don't really lean into our feuds. Like we've had them. Viffer at one point was calling us idiots publicly. Like it happens sometimes, and we just never strike back. Like they did that whole video, and I remember I wrote like a 4-part tweet, basically saying like, "Hey guys, understand you feel this way, but here's some of your critiques of us and why we think you're wrong about these particular critiques," and just addressing them without being emotional, without calling anyone names is sort of what I did. And it sort of just died out. Like some Berkey fanboys attacked us for a few days and then it all went away. We definitely could have tried to grow it into something. By the way, Phil Hellmuth has come after us a few times.
Phil Hellmuth definitely came after us, but
I'm envious of you guys. I would love that.
I've kind of leaned into the Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah, it's easy to try to feud with Phil, but Berkey himself has found so many feuds since us. He probably doesn't even remember us.
We're nothing.
Yeah. Nick Airball and all that.
Exactly.
Right. A lot of stuff that is
Nick Vertucci,
much bigger fish. Yeah, but I think that's a little bit of what makes our podcast sustainable and good over time is also that we are willing to say what we actually think about the plays of people who are kind of in the in group in poker. And I think a lot of people kind of put a cherry on top when talking about that. And when we are willing to say, even if we might be wrong sometimes, we're willing to say that we think something is categorically bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And any
I can appreciate
notion
that.
As far as I'm concerned, anyone who feels like, how dare you question my play, is either not working hard enough or isn't they should be. I always felt Berkey should be glad when we put out that we think he's not good. Not like he's playing these really high stakes games. If he's seen as a little bit more of a fish and he doesn't think he is one, that's good for him, not bad for him, in my opinion. But I feel like, but not just him, to be clear, other people too. Definitely there's an how dare you element not often, but once in a while.
A lot of them are really cool though. Like
most of them are cool. Most of them are really cool. Like Jason Kuhn.
Right. Jason Kuhn has been super cool with us a lot of the time.
It's so funny. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like Jason Kuhn said something to him when I was telling Wes I was going to ask you this question?
Yeah.
Well, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing special that would be fun for a podcast. Like we did a breakdown of Jason Kuhn hand once, and he DM'd us like stuff that would have cost probably $1,200 an hour for Jason Kuhn to tell you. Like he's like, no, this is exactly what I was thinking for all of these reasons with these specifics. And I was like, oh, thanks, Jason, for making me better at poker in 5 minutes of your day. That was nice of you.
It's probably super cool to get that verification from the best in the world, though, that you're kind of on that same thought process.
It feels really good because so we've been doing this since what, 2014?
Yeah.
And we started like a lot of these concepts that are very normal to us and even your listeners and you guys, like blockers. Like we didn't know anything about blockers in 2014. That was not a thing, like distribution was not a word anyone used, at least anyone in my poker.
Maybe like Phil Galfond was.
Maybe Phil Galfond, maybe Tom Dwan. But like I was friends with like high level professional poker players. Never heard him use words like that ever, So like we've been forced to evolve, and mostly we've done it by working it out, not by reading stuff, not by watching other people's stuff, by seeing the hands that Phil Galfond is playing and trying to reverse engineer what the hell's going on. Just the way people do with solvers, but we do it with these professional players. And I feel like that has made us much, much better. And I'm sure our audience too.
Yep. I think there's 2 more notable interactions that are worth talking about.
Cool.
Let's hear it.
One was Sam Trickett, which was a cool one where we had a hand where I think his hand was Queen 8. I don't even remember the specifics of the hand.
I think he had Queen 8.
But he was against Jason Mercier and he check raised or took an aggressive action on the river. It's been many years. And we were convinced that he was bluffing, and we were like,
no, we were convinced it was value.
It's hard to remember.
No, I remember. We were convinced it was value.
Yeah, it was like, it has to be value. There's no reason this would ever be a
his
bluff.
top pair, and it checked him. He's definitely betting for value.
And this was at a time when we were doing a weekly follow-up video, which was you comment, we respond, where we would respond to our favorite or the most critical comments of the week
On
and
YouTube.
And many of the comments were like, this is definitely a bluff, which is not what we said.
Yeah,
Well,
they're like, you're an idiot. It's a bluff. The whole internet thinks
and
it's a bluff.
our UConn respond was like, well, let's tell you again what our reasons
Yeah.
were, because we're definitely right.
Yeah.
It's value. And then Sam Trickett was like, guys, got bad news for you. Like, it's, we made a whole apology tour video about that one.
Yeah, which was great and went over really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You said there was another one?
Yeah, I'm not going to name the name because
Yeah.
there's a famous pro, I'll say his nationality is from the UK, who played a hand and he played it very poorly. Jonathan was particularly critical. Big surprise. I was also critical.
I'm just dramatic.
He came at us with such a level of being offended. Like, I felt that he was personally worsened by this. Like, I came to Jonathan's apartment to work the next day and I was like, I think we should take this down just because of how badly it's affecting this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I felt really bad about how, and it's not like we were calling him a piece of shit or something. We never do anything that's like a personal attack.
No.
Yeah.
But it was about his play, and he took it in such a way that I felt like, I'm not sure if he's just like overly sensitive in the language he uses when writing or what's going on exactly, but it's not worth it to me to have this out if it's really like nagging this guy and making his life worse. I don't want to go through the day thinking that. So we actually took down a video and a podcast that we made because this pro was so offended.
And how did that go?
He continued to come at Jonathan a little bit because apparently Jonathan was definitely the one that he was offended by, because he found Jonathan's personal Twitter and started going after him there.
After we apologized, took everything down. I was saying the whole time, I don't think this is going to help, but sure, we can do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. We took it all down. Nothing changed about his tone towards us at all.
I mean,
Right.
that's a lot of work you put into that. So, I mean, it's nice that you have that empathy I mean, and it didn't even change anything about it. He still comes at you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he felt very offended. I will say that. He's like, I guess did I do wrong by you 10 years ago? Did I say something to you that you would ever attack me like this?
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't like how you played the turn. I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
this
like
is
how
for
he
the
plays it
entertainment
sometimes
value, right?
either.
I mean, you can't, like you said, you don't want to cherry top everything. It's you want to give your personal opinion, and that's why people respect your podcast, I believe. I mean, I know that's why Wes and I enjoyed it. So
yeah,
this is also a player who, sorry to interrupt. This is also a player who benefited greatly from being a poker personality in the British poker scene for a long time. I think so. Being on TV was part of his thing, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who it is, but I'll just keep guessing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I guess I want to say though, just in general, anyone, no matter what their level, should be really open to critique. You know, like I think the best players in the world should be completely open to critique from people, because it gives us a chance to get better. And we can hear the critique and then say, oh no, you're wrong for these 12 reasons. And that's fair. But to just be immediately on the defensive, and I understand that it's a very human thing to not like to be criticized. And I don't like to be criticized either.
You're absolutely right, though.
But like, if we're choosing to play a game that's poker, which is iterated, right? It keeps getting tougher. Everyone keeps changing and evolving. We have to be willing to evolve also. Otherwise, we are going to get left behind. And it's okay to get left behind. But if we want to be a good poker player, we want to be successful, then critique is part of that. And learn, like Jason Kuhn, I think, said, if you don't think you sucked 6 months ago, you're not working hard enough. And we're not working hard enough.
No.
I think I was about the same as I was 6 months ago.
No,
but I do think I sucked probably like 3 years ago compared to now, you know, like probably even 2.
Also, let's not try to compare anybody to Jason Kuhn's work ethic. I mean, this guy's a machine.
Or his workout.
Or yeah.
Everything about what he does is just top notch, right? I mean, it's insane. Okay. Well, you know, I appreciate you guys answering that question for me. I guess there's only a couple more kind of before we get into the nitty gritty and put you on the spot here, but I want to ask you about the book you guys wrote, you co-authored. Can you tell us a little bit? So we've talked about both your podcasts. Tell us about your book and where they can find it.
It can be found on Amazon. I don't think we don't have a website anymore. Some random bookshops have bought physical copies, but I wouldn't go on that goose chase. If I were you. You could buy physical copies from Amazon or, you know, Kindle version. It's called How Can He Fold? With 3 exclamation points. It came out in 2019.
I thought it was question marks.
It's definitely
it's question marks. Yeah, I was just conflating them because, you know, when I'm speaking, I'm not thinking so much about punctuation. You know how it is.
This is what I have to deal with every day, guys. Every day.
And that's what I have to deal with. But it's effectively the written version of our podcast in a hierarchical form. So we start with the simplest hand and we end with the most complicated hand. And the process of doing that was just like we found a lot of hands that we'd already done breakdowns on, a lot of our favorite hands, and decided to do written versions of the breakdowns that were different and hit home the main points and are a bit more instructive than the podcast, I would say overall. More of like a teacher vibe, I would say.
I'm gonna just try that again. I
Okay.
feel like that was as boring as something could sound.
I
would
could
never
see the
buy
pain
book
in your
based on you
face while
saying
he
that.
was saying that.
Okay, well-
hierarchical. No one. As soon as you say that word, no one's listening. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, it gets
Again.
harder as you go. It's
Yeah.
like a video game. How about that?
That's better actually. Okay,
Yeah.
so we took, is it 23, 37, some amount of hands.
I have no idea.
We took a bunch of hands that we think are interesting and cool tournament hands, and we have a conversation about them. We get in depth into all the major decisions that are made in these tournament hands and talk about why we think something is good or bad and major lessons and learnings that people can take from each of these different tournament hands. So it's
Yes.
an incredible thing. Many people have said it's the best poker book they've ever read. I think it was you. Yeah.
It was 37 hands. I
Fuck
remember.
you,
I
Wes.
actually have.
You guys know he's
So-
a robot, so I mean, of course,
Yeah.
memorizes this shit.
Indeed. Yeah, very good. But yeah, it's the feather in the cap of the book is it actually was taught in a game theory class to advanced high schoolers in Kentucky.
Okay.
For like a summer school game theory class. So
Yeah,
that's
multiple
That's
times.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's super cool. All right, what last question I got before Wes gets into it actually kind of involves Wes is I know, when I first started listening to your podcast, I heard you guys bring up Wes's name a couple of times. He's like the in-house for lack of better term, solver bitch.
well, we never said bitch. We never said bitch.
They wanted
but
me
yes.
to keep.
No, that was me.
was implied.
That's from me. You guys didn't say that I said it.
I mean,
but
he was unpaid and he had to do what we said all the time. But
Yeah, it was great.
Kidding aside though,
which usually involves solving poker hands.
I would just like to hear about how you guys became familiar with Wes and just what that looked like, and yeah.
Well, I think it was once we started our Discord. I might have the timeline a bit off here, but Wes started sending in solvers for solves for hands that we had done breakdowns on.
Okay.
And it made us think like this would be kind of a cool element to add to the breakdown. So for a time when we actually kind of weren't as lazy as we currently are, we had Wes and another guy, and then briefly a third person doing solver work for us, where we would send them hands that we were going to do. They would do the solving of the hand. We would not look at that until we were done doing our analysis of the hand. And at the end of the podcast, we would come back and take a look at how the solver matched up with our analysis, which was a fun way to do it, but also takes a lot of, like thinking and planning and all that stuff that we don't really want to do that much.
Well, you have a big community. Why not outsource?
Yeah, we did, and it was cool, and it's something
great.
we might bring back someday.
People really liked it.
Yeah,
I will
they
say
did.
that.
Yeah.
The thing that's weird about solver work is it can be treated as the answers in the back of the book, like to the answers to the test, and it isn't really the case a lot.
It's a great point.
Because there's so many other factors, so many human factors, especially if we're talking live tournaments, which is often what we're talking, or even live cash, which is often what we're talking about.
Especially
right?
at deeper stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, the shorter you get, the more obvious it's going to be, the more technical it's going to be, right? But there's a
Right.
lot of art to this stuff, and there's metagame implications, of course. There's ICM implications, which I guess you can put into the solver. But there's live tells. There's other things about the player that, of course, the solver is not playing against that player. They're playing against another perfect opponent, and they know they are.
Yeah,
That
and this is
really
something
matters.
we reiterate
So-
a lot.
So yeah, it can be a bit of a danger, I think, to think the solver is the right answer as opposed to a guideline to work off of.
Yeah, I think you nailed that. I feel like you and Wes would have said word by word exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna add like pretty much. So there were some hands where it's like, oh, Chidwick and Bonmo played this hand. Like, yeah, this is really cool to see what the solver says. But then
Yes.
it's like,
Right.
oh, you want me to Nick Airball just bet 3 times pot and he has 8-4 suited. Like, we're supposed to range this guy. Like this is just more for entertainment, So it's like
Yep.
such a wide range of uses for it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun and just it's fun to have. But I agree with what you said, where it can be easy, especially if you're someone who's trying to get better at the game, to like view the solver as the solution opposed to just one piece of the puzzle.
Well, it had a lot of value to Jake Schindler and Ali Msirovic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask you guys about, and I don't even know if your listeners even know that much about is your guys' poker careers before you were doing the podcast. Both of you played professionally, like full time for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, we both did. We're still both semi-professionals. Like I rely on it for
Yep.
a portion of my income. I don't know if that's the same for you or not.
I mean, it's like a baby side hustle for me at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still consider myself a professional level poker player, but who knows? Poker players are not good gaugers of
He
their own
is.
skill.
For sure he's a professional level player still, guaranteed. Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyway, we both like Jonathan was playing in non-Portland scenes for a while. I was playing just online. I guess you were mostly online before Black Friday too, right?
I mean, I'll do me really quick and
Yeah.
you can do you. So I learned about poker during the World Series of Poker 2003 Chris Moneymaker thing. I had never played before. Started playing right away. Took about 6 months to figure out what I was doing. I was a fish up until then. I started reading books, started playing No Limit, and then got into Limit Hold'em and became, you would
like Minnesota.
Professional. Oh, still?
We're the state of limit. We can't even play
Really?
No Limit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No Limit's not available in Minnesota.
I do like that.
Is that why you guys are tournament guys?
Yeah, you got it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we have limit and spread limit. So it's either, like 2-4, 3-6.
Yeah.
But then there's spread limit where you can do 2-100. So, there's 1,000 in the pot, and by the river, the most you can bet is $100. So good luck.
It plays
bluffing.
as a limit game there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was a Limit Hold'em pro for many, many years. Online mostly, like Grant's saying, I would multi-table up to like 11 tables at a time, whatever. And then moved out here, and I was a live limit pro for a long time because in Washington, they have the same rules as you do in Minnesota. I think they just relaxed them actually. But so there was like a 20-40 game and a 30-60 game out here that I played 3 times a week for a long time. And I played some tournaments too.
Yep. I played mostly online pre-Black Friday. Pretty much all tournaments. I would never consider myself a cash pro because I've never like actually made enough money in cash to be a professional level cash player. It's just always been something I sort of done on the side. I'm doing a little bit more recently. And then 2011 hit, Black Friday, very bad time for everybody who knows about it. But we were lucky in that without even knowing that I was in the right city, I was in the right city, and that Portland has these strange municipal laws that allow for these social gaming clubs that did already exist and are now much better than they were then. But it's basically you get to pay a fee for the day. At the time, I think it was $5. Now it's up to $20. And you can play whatever they're offering in the club, which, could be like most clubs have like a noon tournament and a nighttime tournament, and then sometimes a bigger tournament on weekends. And like the current iteration of the club has 1-2 with a 400 cap, 1-3 with a 1K cap, and 5-5 with a 2K cap. It depends on the time of year, but 5-5 with a 2K cap, you get to play for $20 all day. That's your entire rake. That's a pretty good deal. So
I ended up slam dunk.
Yeah, I ended up playing in that scene and actually like playing all of the tournaments. I just like played all of the tournaments and was professional level in that, and that's where I met Jonathan. And we decided to start a poker coaching business with a third person, and we did that for a while, and we tried to promote the poker coaching business with a podcast, and that's how the podcast was born, and that kind of like turned into the thing instead of
quickly.
Yeah, instead of
into its own thing.
Yeah.
Cool. When you guys were like getting good at poker and starting to win, how did you go about studying? How did you get better? And how has that changed for you now?
So for me, I read back in the day. So I was Limit Hold'em, right? So I read an Ed Miller book about Limit Hold'em, Small Stakes Hold'em, I think is what it was called, in 2004. And I went from, making a little bit of money because I played tighter than everyone else to making, like 1 to 2K a week online suddenly. And I was like, what is happening? This doesn't make any sense. I'm just, I just changed a few things, but I had a different way of viewing the whole thing. And so that then led me into, in 2006, I won my way into, I won some satellites on Full Tilt. So I went to the World Series, played in the main event, played in another 1,500. I won both those just playing in satellites. And I met Matt Matros, who is a triple bracelet winner who lived like 10 blocks from me. So I knew who he was. He didn't know who I was, but I went up to him and introduced myself, and we became good friends. So then he became sort of a semi-poker mentor to me, where I could ask him anything I wanted at any time. He would always answer it happily. He'd show me whatever he was thinking about and working on. It was incredible. And he knew like Vanessa Selps and Ike Haxton and stuff like that. So I didn't get to meet those people directly, but I got some of their knowledge like trickled down through him to me
Yep.
without me having to do anything except hang out, basically. So it was a pretty incredible thing. And then coming out here, meeting Grant, we talked a lot of poker. And I just think having high level people, or people you can talk high level poker with, whatever that is for you, whatever your level is, basically, is the most valuable resource ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to take a quick issue with whatever level it is for you. Like, if you're talking to somebody who's on your level and they're not very good, it's probably not that useful.
Well, how are they on
Right.
your level? If
Like,
you're
it depends on who you are, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, my path was.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a less studied path in general. I don't really read poker books or anything. I went to college with two guys who are both just really good poker minds. One in particular who ended up winning the World Series Monster Stack in 2016, despite never really playing poker. He's one of the like top 5 bridge players in the US. He's like a super elite game theory mind guy.
Sick.
His name is Mitch Towner. So I got to like kind of just be around him and my other friend Robert Brewer, who are both great poker players, and I learned through them. And that was enough to get me to the point where I started Poker Guys with Jonathan. And then doing the podcast, honestly, is an education in itself. Because
exactly.
we're diving deep into things that we have never thought about before and having to conceptualize new things. And then I go play 1-3 at the club and I'm like, oh, none of that matters. Never mind.
Yeah, it's so true. Man.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I totally, I feel that big time because I say this to Wes all the time. It's like, us doing this podcast and talking poker is just one of the ways we study. You know what I mean? It improves our game just talking about it constantly. You know what I mean? So
no question.
What?
And to be clear, I have like 17 poker books on my shelf. Like I
do
have
as well, actually. Yeah. But it's funny though because Wes is more of the robot and I'm more of the field player. So, anyways, I'm curious though. Out of you two, it sounds like, Jonathan, are you the more of the GTO type player, and then, or is it the other way around? Or how would you explain that?
I don't know. I think we're probably more similar than you two are based on your description.
Okay.
I think Jonathan might rely more on certain concepts that are like ingrained concepts. Like if I fold here, what am I calling with? He'll like convince himself to call in a spot where I'm like, you can't call. You 100% lose.
So that's a
100%
deeper
of the
theoretical
time.
mindset.
Yeah.
I just made a call like that on Friday.
How'd it go?
It's the best hand I can ever have here. But I think I'm always losing. Yeah, no, I lost.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that if you had to qualify one of us as more of a field player, I guess I'm more of a field player than
I think
Jonathan.
you are. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're willing to deviate more based on other data, metadata, seeing reads, whatever, than I am. Not, I shouldn't say willing, but you're better at it, maybe is what it is. I'd be happy to deviate more.
Maybe.
I feel like I'm not as good at picking up stuff as you are on other people.
I am decent at physical live reads. I don't exactly know how or why, but it works.
I mean, it comes with intuition and seeing it a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, a lot of it is just body language. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like any particular thing that you could put in a book. Like
it's too bad.
The person scratched their neck, or it's just like a certain body language means strength. A certain body language means nervousness. It's hard. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way I describe it to people, and maybe you guys can relate to this, is it's like I might even not have a read on this specific hand, but I just have a read on the person. Is like, oh, you're a 65-year-old with grandkids and you're about to retire. Like, you don't bluff. You know,
right.
You're a low risk person.
Exactly. And then you're dead wrong.
You're wearing 6 chains and 2 Rolexes. Like you want everyone to know that the money doesn't matter. So you're never folding, you know, it has nothing to do with this hand, but
I used to ask myself when I was first getting more serious about poker and someone would make a big bet on the river or raise me even more so is this person even capable of bluffing? You know, because if the answer was no, what am I doing? Like clearly I have a fold, since if I have to ask that question, my hand isn't strong enough to continue, you know? So it is interesting because the Portland scene right now, it's fairly like it only gets to 5-5 really most of the time, the most, but we actually have some really good players here. So you have this weird mix at a table. I guess this is always the way it is, but where you have like a few like absolutely professional level guys who are deeply studied or watching Run It Once, elite videos, stuff like that, been very successful. And you sitting right next to people who have no clue at all what's going on in any way, shape, or form. And so being able to sort of be a chameleon and jump back and forth, you know, in my strategy between what I'm doing with each player is the most interesting thing about it, I would say.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well. Yeah.
I think that's part of what gives live poker such an edge. Is like you can focus on each individual and pick up so much more on them.
Yeah.
Absolutely, compared to live or online, absolutely.
We asked this to our last guest. Do you guys think poker's more of an art or a science?
I have to find out who your last guest was before I answer.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm kidding.
15-time ring winner Josh Reichard.
And
Midwest guy, you probably don't know him.
Well, you don't know who that is.
Yeah, no idea who that is.
That's a dismissive thing.
Yeah. The unimportant former guest.
15 rings.
Yeah. How many bracelets? Give me a break.
He bought them all at the pawn shop. So
Art or science? I think it's, if I had to pick one, it's a science.
That's the answer. It's definitely a science. You see, I was already getting ready to kill you with my laser eyes if you said
This is
art.
why
It's definitely a science.
This is why was so mad at you from the UK.
Yeah, I know. They're all mad.
Because of the way you
I
talk.
can't help it.
how many rings do you guys have?
0.
0.
Well, he said it's an art, so I think we actually know the answer now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, ask a guy who plays on World Series circuit events what the great idea. That's going to tell you everything. I would think part of the answer is actually about who your opponents are.
What does
right?
Maurice Hawkins think?
Like if you're up against people who all think it's a science, now actually the answer becomes art again, right? Because now you want to deviate from the science. But like if you're playing more against people who are all over the place, the science is the answer. I think for obviously, yes, you can still deviate off it, but you deviate much less, right? Because if you just destroy them with your ranges, that's all you have to do essentially in a lot of these games is have a solid pre-flop range. You basically can't help but win money in lower stakes live poker.
In cash games, at least.
In cash games, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's an inherent problem with the question, which is not defining art and science, right? Because if we, like you could say there's some, right? Like if using the scientific method is very useful in poker, right? I think like the, hypothesis, and you test the hypothesis and retest like all that stuff is useful in poker because you learn about your opponents and then you apply it. But you could put that in the art category if you wanted to, saying like I was doing a player dependent thing, right? So it's like a scientific approach.
I mean, I would argue really everything's science, right? Like even when you're deviating, if you're doing this right, in my opinion, then you like change the ranges based on what you've seen. So it's with data that you're doing it. Right?
I think the art is stuff like knowing when you can make a tiny bet on the river and the guy is just primed to bluff raise, like just knowing that he's going to, like that. That's kind of the artistic part in my.
I will say I watched Grant. We played in a tournament yesterday, and we were at the final table, and I watched Grant make a check raise on the river that it wouldn't have really occurred to me to make, and it worked perfectly. It was crazy that it worked, but it worked perfectly, and that is sort of an art play, not a science play, I would say.
I have a lot of history with the players.
Yeah,
and we were playing Dramaha.
Yeah,
which is a great game.
I never played, but it's
fun.
I like keeping my hair. So
Dramaha is awesome.
Yeah, we love it.
We played
so good.
We had a little local $200 Dramaha tournament yesterday. It was super fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
So can I just pause you real quick? I just want to mention last night I was playing online, the Sunday grind or whatever, and I check raised my opponent, and all of a sudden I saw that little 1 pop up in the chat bar. So I clicked into it to see, how my opponent felt about my check raise, and he told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
And then I said, why would you say such mean things? And he goes, because you bush leagued check raised me. And I was like,
oh, the check and raise.
I was like, what's bush league about check raise? And he says, good luck, have fun. And that was the end of the conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you obviously don't have the skill to decide whether to call or fold on the river, so you have to do the dumb check raise.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Don't you know that's just terrible sportsmanship?
Yeah, I flopped a set, didn't see bet. I checked knowing he would just bet in position, and I check raise, and then that was that. So
it was rude. I think now you've learned your lesson, probably.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson. I will no longer check raise.
Just because you're allowed to do it does not mean you ever should.
It's funny though, because I think the reason I was so like dumbfounded by it is because I do feel like I remember back in the day when I first started playing poker that like when you would check raise, it was actually considered disrespectful. But it reminds me of something from like the 1800s. Like, you know what I mean? Like you might have got shot in a saloon by check raising, but like maybe that kind of.
Even the idea of it being disrespectful feels very Minnesota. But I play
hey, this is
on
online. I don't know where he's from.
But like on the coast, we check raise and no one says shit. You know what I mean? Everyone's cool
you're
with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's very coastal elite, the check raise. Yeah.
Scumbags. All right, so I have one more question, and then I want to do a little mini breakdown here. So the last question I have is just, what advice do you have for people who are aspiring to play professionally or who are looking to really take it more seriously, both maybe both study habits and like on the mental game side of things?
Well, I think in order to get your mental game right, you have to be fully honest with yourself. And I think this is a big problem that a lot of the like 80th percentile players have. Meaning like 80th percentile meaning like probably not a winning player over time when you include rake. You know, like I'm like 93rd plus is like winning percentile, who are on the cusp of becoming professionals. And I think a lot of those players are good enough to recognize that they are better than the field, but not good enough to be honest with themselves, which includes a lot of things, including record keeping, which I think is step one. Accurate record keeping is huge if you want to become a professional poker player. That includes all expenses. And like, for example, in Portland, we have this club where you pay $20 to enter and then you play poker. And I'm guessing a lot of the people record keeping aren't including that $20 in their record keeping. Just like stuff, little small stuff like that. Get your record keeping in order, I think, is step one. If you think that you're on the cusp of becoming good enough, once you have your record keeping in order, you can actually see how you're doing in different games and try to learn from where you have leaks based on that. That's where I would start.
I think that's great. Wes and I've talked a lot about that in our recent episodes, you know, of things people can do to improve their game over the new year. So kind of nailed that one.
I would say addressing the mental part of it, it is striking to me how often I watch players who are professional level winning players lose their fucking minds. And start betting, you know, someone raises to $10 and they go all in for 500 or 1,000 or whatever, like because they're on tilt from something that happened 10 minutes ago. Or they busted a tournament and they just light it up. And there's some players who do that, and it's because they've got such a big bankroll, they're just having fun. And that I don't count that, right?
Yeah.
But I know, I'm thinking of one guy in particular who I don't know if you know who I'm thinking of or not, but who plays at the club, who is absolutely good, has a young kid, plays for a living, plays small stakes for a living, but then sometimes just starts losing his mind and blows up. And
Really?
And I just don't understand. To me, it's so striking how someone could be a professional and like this is his livelihood, but also have that. It's not even a leak. It's like a sprouting, you know, fungi, you know, coming off him. Like if you can't have that level of impulse control, and that could just be about getting up and leaving. You know, it doesn't mean you have to sit there and play through it, right? But if you can't stop yourself from tilting your balls off or your ovaries off or whatever, like you really can't make it, I don't think, as a professional player in any kind of long-term scenario. Maybe you can do it for a year, but over 5 years, you're going to go broke a lot because that's broke behavior.
Right. I don't know if there's any solve in there, right? Like saying don't get tilted is not necessarily.
No. The solve is you actually have to do the interior work.
Yeah,
you
which
have to
is
actually do the emotional work on what's going on when that happens and learn to deal with it differently. You know, that's the solve, which is real personal stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be, by the way. I remember I used to tilt back in the very early days, my first year of playing poker before I was professional or making any money, but I was like better than most people because I was just tight and everyone sucked. But I would tilt, not to that degree, but I remember making some horrific calls that I knew were bad calls, and I still did it because I was tilting, kind of thing. We all have to go through this probably. And I remember at one point I said to myself, I either have to tighten up or get up from the table once I start to feel this way. Like there's no more like making bad calls. I should be tighter or leave. And that was like my mantra for the next few years when I start to feel that way. And I like trained myself to not behave like that. And
so that was the pesticide on the sprouting fungi.
For me, it was, right?
Nice,
and I don't know that that's going to work for everyone, for sure. I think everyone's got their own level of emotional stuff with this, you know, and you have to work on it. It's a really personal journey, I think, when we're talking about dealing with your own tilt. But there's something really powerful about having bad things happen. I'm sure all four of us, as we played a lot of poker, you know, for at times a lot of money, right? A lot of big things where even if something horrible happens, I don't fall apart in any way anymore. Now it's like, that sucked, right? That really sucked. Fuck. And then I'm on to the next hand and I'm playing the same ranges and I'm doing the same stuff that I would have been doing before, you know? Like I don't let myself add a few hands to my calling range now because I want to win it back or something like, you know, I don't do any of that because there's a reason why my calling range is my calling range, and and those other hands weren't in it, and everything has to, if I want to win, that's what it's got to be about.
I think that, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you please go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, just kind of, you know, to put Wes under the spotlight here. I had busted him last week in the our local tournament, and he was tilted because he misplayed the hand. And instead of rebuying, being the adult he is, he's like, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm going to go home and sit this one out instead of rebuying and continue playing bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I texted him when I got home. I'm like, I'm pissed about how I played. Like, I could have rebought. I usually would. I'm like, you know what? I knew I made the wrong play in the moment. And for some reason I did it. So I'm done for the day.
but to the point is he admitted it. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So he's putting that patch on that leak and trying to grow from it. So
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. A couple other things that came to my mind when Jonathan was talking, because he touched on them. Something that Jonathan often says, which is really good advice, is you have to inspect the hands that you win along with the hands that you lose.
Right.
Right. Like I hear a lot of
That's great.
aspiring pros talking about the hands that they've lost on tournament breaks with other people, but not necessarily going as in depth on the hands that they won. Just kind of like, oh yeah, I won because I played it well, and this is the hand that I won with. Right. But like you might have made some mistakes in the hands that you won, obviously. And if you're not looking at all of that, then that can be a real problem.
Mhm.
Also in cash games, specifically in cash games, I think a lot of people struggle with the session being like a one-off thing, thinking like that this session is important and I have to leave up in this session, or I'm either going to get back to even or up, or I'm going to go bust in this session. And that is really not a good way to think about cash games. It's one long game. It's an infinite game. There's no start and stop to it. There's no reason that it matters on Thursday, January 4th, like if you made money that day or not. If you're up $100 and you're like, well, I was up 600 before and now I'm up 100, so I want to try to get back to up 600, or I'm going to just kind of go nuts and bust. That's a really bad mindset, and I think a lot of people suffer from that in cash games.
Yeah.
I've seen it for sure.
To continue, Grant likes to say that people play poker for a lot of different reasons, and I guess I say that too. But you often talk about people do it to get angry, right? Like if you want to be a professional poker player or a winning poker player, you have to play poker to win money, and to make good decisions. Those are the only two reasons I think that will sustain you. So like it's got to be at least one of those two things. If you really care about making money, then you should be learning how to make good decisions. If you really care about making good decisions, the money will follow. But you have to be passionate about those things, I think. Otherwise, it's really, really hard to be successful, because then you're doing it to make a cool bluff. You're doing it to be the hero and make a great hero call so you can feel that and show everyone, or turn your cards over. If you're doing it for any of those reasons, it's very hard to be successful. It's almost impossible, I think.
Yeah. I thought of so many things when you guys were talking about that. Grant, what you said about the cash games, I think a great way to phrase that is like, if you look at the NBA, the teams are ranked based on their wins and losses, but in poker, you're ranked based on your point differential, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you won $100 or lost $100 in a session, or if you lost 20 grand in one session and then you had 10 straight sessions of winning $300. Like, no, it's just the end total that matters. And so if your decision making is going to be different based on if you're up or down on a session, that should be a sign that maybe you should work on that or not do it professionally. Jonathan, when you were talking about how even some pro level players will just randomly punt, it's like, that reminds me of how I've said, there are players who, if poker was just, if there was a poker class and you could take a poker test at the end of the class, there are players who would do really well on that, but can't actually win money doing it because of those mental things where, however they would play a hand in theory doesn't always translate to the table.
That I like that. It's a good analogy. It makes a lot of sense.
One more thing I kind of also wanted to reiterate too, that you had said, Jonathan, is that I think a lot of people should internalize this, is that you should focus on making the correct decisions and the money will follow, right? And not about being the hero and things like that. I think that's, again, something to iterate that people can find very helpful.
Yeah. And we could go into this forever, but it's like making a correct decision could mean that you're going to call a bet and lose 60% of the time, but the money will follow because the 40% of the time will more than pay off for it, So
Phil Galfine also talks about the idea of reciprocity, where if you lose a big hand, let's say, that's fine as long as your opponent would have, if you switched hands, you switch cards with them, they would have also lost the same amount of money or more, then you're fine. If they would have lost less than you, that's where it's a problem if you switch hands, right? So there's certain spots which are cooler spots, or you're going to make that call on the river where you only win 25% of the time, but the pot odds are right to make the call, and you actually believe 25% you actually are going to win 25% of the time. So it's a money-making call, even though you mostly lose when you actually make it.
Right.
That's fine as long as your opponent would lose more money than you would. You're winning, even though you
Yes.
can't see it.
Yeah.
That's hard to quantify.
Yeah,
that sounds
I
kind of
know.
hard to quantify.
Well, but it's more about like cooler spots, really, though, right? It's
Yeah.
about like saying like, okay, yeah, I got set it there, and I got totally stacked, but everyone gets stacked there, and it doesn't matter. Like if we switch hands, it's just one. That's just an unlucky situation. It's like aces versus kings, 100 blinds deep. Yeah, we're just gonna go broke. Like that's automatic, nothing to think about really. And thinking of it that way, as opposed to I see people really get caught up in could I have made this super thin fold here, as opposed to like, reciprocity. Worry about all the other decisions mostly too, as opposed to like
Not
the big flashy stuff, which is like you probably aren't supposed to get away from that anyway. And even if you are, it saves you $1. Like who cares?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And the last thing I would bring up is I think the focus of your podcast last time is bankroll management.
Yep.
Like if you're playing on scared money, as everybody knows, you're very unlikely to play well. And so if you're not properly managing your bankroll, which there's lots of resources to find out how to do that, including your podcast, then that's a problem that you're starting with right there. So that kind of pairs with my first thing of record keeping. Record keeping and bankroll management are kind of the building blocks for actually knowing how you're doing. And
that's the foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of years ago, I would play that 200 spread game, and I was talking to my buddy about how he got stacked in this hand, and I'm like, or no, how he folded this hand, and I'm like, no, you just kind of have to call it off there and live with it. You'll win in the long run, but you'll probably get stacked here. And we were talking about bankroll, and he's like, well, yeah, but I just don't have like X amount of money to play poker with. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a problem no matter what then,
Yeah.
You either have to fix it or just know that you're going to play for fun.
So we had a thing on our Discord maybe a year ago where a player was coming in and asking advice, and it was a young guy, didn't have much money. Yeah. And my advice was to like find stakes where you can gamify it. Find stakes where it can be purely game and not something that financially impacts you. And that might be buying in for $20 total online and trying to grind 50-cent tournaments or whatever. As long like you're not going to win life-changing money doing that, but it's a way to, start to build something and start to actually be in spots over and over and over again. So if you're ever in a bankroll spot where it doesn't feel like you're playing a game, it feels like this is a must-win situation. That's a problem. You need to find a spot where you're gamifying it. And sometimes that's painful to remove yourself from the stakes that you have been playing at. But if it's not sustainable, then it's not worth doing.
Well, and if it's that painful too, then maybe you realize that you were playing for the thrill rather than to actually be good at the game.
Yeah. And one way I do it, because like poker's not my main income anymore, is I have a separate bankroll, and I've fully gamified it where I have a certain bankroll level where if I get over it, I get to like cash out from above that and buy something fun. So that way, like no matter what stakes I'm playing, even if it's not as high as I might want to be playing from like a financial perspective, it's still like is part of the game where I get to have the fun things if I do well.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it's time, Wes.
Yeah. All right. So
I've been looking forward to this, you guys.
Yeah. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little breakdown of a hand. Now, at some point, I think we're actually going to, you guys had mentioned that you were going to do it on the podcast, but I was going to like send in a solve for it.
Did I just get a thumbs down? Did I just see a thumbs down on the screen? Was that you guys?
No.
Not me.
No,
I saw that too.
Just a big thumbs down appeared on the screen.
It was not on purpose.
Yeah, that was just
Okay.
some Apple thing.
We will never do what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
Don't know if I believe that, but we'll roll with it. Anyways, yeah. So this hand comes from my final table in the Gladiators of Poker event at the World Series. 4 people left. So the scenario
Did you have to be
is,
really tall and really strong to enter? Is that why?
Just tall. Just tall.
Okay.
Yeah, just tall. Max didn't come out yet. So the payouts at this point, first place is just under $500,000. Second place is $305K. Third is $210K. Fourth is $160. The blinds are 488 million, and the stacks are all very even. So the two people not involved in the hand have 191 and 164 million. So like 20 and 23-ish big blinds. The button has 171 million. And then me, I'm in the big blind. I have 165 million. And to be specific, that's pre-ante, so I'll have 157 after the ante goes in. So about 20 blinds effective here. The button, so he's got two kings, king of hearts, king of spades. Now he is a player who, before this tournament, he had one cash for about $1,000. And you can tell he's like, at the final table, he's like 4x, 3x. When I went back, he like folded ace queen to a raise. Like he's done some bonkers
I
stuff.
saw that hand. I remember that hand.
Yeah.
That was memorable.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you have some thoughts already, or maybe this will stir some memories. But yeah, so this guy's kind of all over the place. Clearly it's a very big spot for all of us, but for him especially, I think.
He's just the least experienced for sure.
By far, yeah. But this time he does go with the min raise. He opens to 16 million on the button. I'm in the big blind with ace 8 offsuit here, ace of spades, 8 of clubs, and I go with the call. First thoughts, you ever thinking of shoving here, rebetting?
I mean, definitely thinking of shoving against some opponents in some of the time. It feels like not the spot to do it when this player is at the table, and I'm not exactly sure of the skill levels of the other players, but if you ever think that you have a skill edge over the table, I don't think you should be shoving here very often. If it's Jason Kuhn and Phil Ivey and Phil Galfond, you should absolutely shove.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're gonna like kind of let you squeak by and kind of play post flop and make better decisions than them when there is some SPR remaining, then I think you should let them do that. And I think flatting is the only option in that case.
I want to at least explore one other option. I think folding is out of the question. I think shoving is out of the question for the reason Grant said. Like, this guy is at the table. We don't want to put 20 blinds in when he min raises. That seems like a bad idea. Now we may, if you have a strong, I would guess you didn't have a strong sense at the time that the min raise, because it was smaller, meant he may have a monster. It just probably, you noticed that it was smaller, so it meant something, but you didn't necessarily know what it meant. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I felt like it meant something, and I'll find out. I'll know which way it is. Yeah.
So I think the other option, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm just wondering, is based on this particular player you're talking about, could we do a small 3-bet here? Is he just going to be terrified and fold or shove? And we don't have to, we'll know what it means. We'll stay out of dominated situations a lot. Like, could we make it 5.5 blinds and he's just going to throw away ace jack like right now because he's terrified? I'm wondering. I know it's very unconventional what I'm saying.
I don't like
it. I kind of like where you're going with this, although it's something that, like you said, unconventional. It scares me a little bit. Gets me sweating a little,
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks so much to get shoved on.
Yeah. But also
called,
with ace 8 off, it doesn't suck that much, because if I get shoved on, I'm
easy
in
fold.
bad shape.
Yeah.
It's
but
it just, it hurts me to think about what 5.5 blinds are worth in equity that you're putting in as like
a lot
just
of
like
money.
as an experiment,
Yeah.
basically. Like I don't love that. I like calling, like, you're clearly better than this guy based on, like, at this point, were you aware of the ace queen fold at this point, Wes?
No.
Okay.
No, but I knew he had 4x opened with pocket jacks. So
okay. Interesting. I mean, I just like calling and figuring it out. It just is like a simple principle. When you're against a weaker opponent, allow there to be more decision points in a hand until the hand is static at the river, and then you could make a big decision if you want to, right? Like, because if you're going to make better decisions than him, then the more decisions that are in the hand, the better off you will typically be with a marginal holding. Like, obviously, if you want to just go for pure value, it's a different situation. But it seems to me that you probably would have figured out at this point that on an 8 high flop, if he triple barrels or double, I don't know exactly if the SPR is going to allow for that. It depends on his sizing.
But how about just him betting big on the turn?
Yeah, like,
betting?
You might just be able to fold anyway, even with top, and fold correctly. So I think that,
or on an ace high board, probably the same thing.
I think you'll be able to make good, like, player based and distribution based decisions post flop. This hand has enough just straight up value by itself without having to turn it into something with blockers or anything like that. I think we should just navigate the hand post flop.
I think Grant is got to be right that that's the best play, but I love at least playing with the idea of these more unconventional things against people who are going to have almost binary responses to it. Like, they're going to give up or shove almost always. Like, if he's scared like that, he's probably going to fold the if we knew he folded ace queen, my God, then we might, that would make me want to do this a little bit more. Also, because, like, at our blind depth, like, there's almost no raise size where we could pull this off, but this is the raise size where we could do it. Turns out there's a reason why, right? So fair enough. But anyway, I think I would call 2 to be clear.
I actually like your idea. I mean, against an elite pro, I'd rather just shove, but
Yeah.
I like your idea better against like a really good pro that maybe like a local Portland pro, like a really good pro. Cause like they're
why isn't
gonna
he
fold.
shoving?
They're gonna fold a lot of stuff.
They
you
look
know,
like aces for sure,
yeah,
right?
they're actually gonna fold a lot of stuff because the SPR is not gonna be good enough for them to continue with their like Jack 8 off that they
Yeah.
open pre-flop. It's
Or ace 10.
So that gave me an idea. So I did call. I like the call. I kind of like that small raise with a slightly weaker hand, like king 6 off or something where it's like, yeah, I could call, but I could fold out a lot of hands that like dominate me here.
yeah,
And
that's
if I get
interesting.
jammed on whatever.
It depends on the button opening frequency, obviously.
Yeah.
If it's a high frequency, then I kind of love it with just your garbage hands that are not going to flop a good 1-pair hand anyway. If there's a high button opening frequency at that like perceived SPR, assuming they would call, it's pretty cool. I like that idea.
It's interesting, even just this idea of taking a 20 blind stack, re-raising small with it, and absolutely having like and being willing to fold, which is like just goes against like a 18 blind stack, 20 blind stack is something where I think of it anyway, almost always as like, well, if I'm 3-betting, I'm just moving it in, and like except against very particular opponents. But there might be more. It looks so strong.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
But the call is obviously the Occam's razor play.
It's
a good play.
Yeah.
All right. So we get the flop of 8 of spades, 6 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds. So I've got top. And so I check. I don't know. I don't really, I guess, yeah. What do you guys think? Is there any argument for leading?
It's their breakdown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, do you have the ace of diamonds in your hand?
I don't.
Okay.
I have
There are two diamonds on the board, you said?
Yeah.
2 diamonds. Yep. I have no
6 of diamonds, 4 diamonds.
Yeah, that makes me not want to lead because we're going to get jammed on by too many diamond combos that like, are we lead folding? I assume we're lead folding against this type of player. I don't know what we're doing. Are we lead calling?
If we're lead calling, we should check raise.
Yeah.
Because if he's willing to put it in anyway,
yeah.
Like, let's make sure we at least capture the bet. Like leading, I understand we're folding out some equity, but like we're in pretty good shape. When we have ace 8, we have reverse dominated a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I think I mostly just want to check call. I want to see what he's going to do if he's terrified, rather than when I've got it. He may have 3 outs against us a lot here. He mostly has 3 outs against us. I mean, obviously he has all the overpairs and he's got some other things, but like he's got a lot of 3 out spots. And really it's 2 outs, I guess, right?
Well, he's got a lot of
actually that'd be 1.
He has a lot of
He
like
got an
Jack 10 type hands.
He's got king queen. He's got, but he's got, but like he may be opening all his aces on the button, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, he may have almost no outs against us. He may need running cards even right now. I don't know. I'm inclined just to check rather than lead at these, especially at these depths where if we lead, it's so weird to lead top and fold it. It feels like kind of terrible. And if we don't think he has any bluffs, then we're just denying equity with this lead. It doesn't feel like it's good enough. I feel like our hand's too strong to just use it as only an equity denier when he's usually going to see bet.
I think it's an interesting. I think it's an
agree with
interesting.
Hey, you guys
lead.
are pretty good at this game, by the way.
I think deeper against a good opponent, it's an interesting lead just because of the board texture being favorable for the big blind, and it's like a weird hand to add into that you wouldn't typically do, but just to like have more consistency and add more leads against players that you need to show different things every once in a while. I think it's interesting, but not for this spot.
Are there any hands you would want to lead, like strong hands or like the 10-9 type of hands?
I mean, what's his c-bet frequency? Do we have any sense of that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
It's hard to say. I didn't play with this guy at all before the final table.
If I feel like he has anywhere close to the normal level of c-betting in him, I would want to check. If I felt like he has a lot of checkbacks because he's thinking about range versus range and all that type of stuff, and this is better for you, even though he opened on the button, this is still really good for the big blinds range. I'd be much more inclined to lead against other players.
What is the second suit on the board? Remind me.
Diamonds and spade on the
8 of spades. Yep.
I think this is the type of player most likely who's going to fold a lot of their misses. So I think if you have like a completely non-showdownable, like 2 overs and backdoor flush draw hand, maybe that's a hand to lead. Like a Jack 10
of spades or something.
Yeah, hands like that.
Yeah.
Hands like they would love to take it down, but if you get called, there are some really good turn cards at least.
Yeah.
Maybe hands like that.
Okay. So we check, and then I think pocket kings at this stack depth probably usually betting. What kind of sizing? And is there any reason to check?
I think that every pot is so valuable at this point that a C bet is mostly expected,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't really deviate from that just for the sake of being like, oh, I have a better hand than expected, so I guess I should check. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't mind like a 1.5 blind bet here, something like that, which is probably what you're typically going to see if you're going to be betting in a spot like this.
I'd probably bet a little bit more than that, just because the range is better. The flop is better for his range,
Yeah.
the big blind's range. So I'd probably go like a little more than 2, but it's all really close. Admittedly, I'd probably go like 2.25 blinds or something.
What do you guys
Okay.
think?
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, I think charging. I mean, Wes would probably agree. I do. I mean, betting small, but maybe enough to charge these single pairs to at least still get some value
And
from them.
The
So
gutters.
and gut. Yeah, exactly.
My thought on this board is to size a little bit bigger, just because like I'm not really going to be able to fold one pair, and like if he, as the button player, if I had like 10-9 or something, I want to put that pressure on on those one pair hands to like sort of make them indifferent already.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm considering the depth of average stack here, where we're like 22 blinds
fair.
or something like that. So like every chip is so incredibly valuable, and I think people are going to react differently to sizings than they normally would. I expect, Wesley, that most of your decisions are going to be binary with on this board. You're not going to react to sizing wildly differently unless it's like a 1.5 blind versus a 5 blind sizing. You're probably going to react the same to a 2 or a 3 blind sizing, right?
I don't think you're putting any more pressure on those one pair of hands with a 3 blind bet than you are like a 1.5 blind bet. I think they're all calling once, and then they're all have a big decision on the turn no matter what. You inflate the pot a little bit more for yourself with kings, which is nice. That's
not
a
bad.
good reason.
Yeah.
But I don't think the 10-9 is served by betting more. I think you're getting a binary response unless you're betting a lot more than 3 blinds.
Right. Okay. So if you're going to be in this scenario over and over again, which you might be if you're four-handed with a good structure for a while, where you're opening the button and getting defended by the big blind quite a bit, then you might want to establish a smaller size as your general norm so that the reaction is like, you don't have to change it in the future and get some sort of weird reaction.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. The one thing I was thinking about is like, is there any world where he wants to try and get this in on 2 streets, with this board texture?
So like betting 5 or 6 blinds?
So we got, if we're like 18 effective with 5.5 in the middle, maybe like 4 and then pot size back roughly.
Yeah.
You could even bet 3 and get it in on the turn pretty easily.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I don't know
That's
that I do
interesting.
that,
That's
but
fair.
on that sort of board.
I mean, you're sort of effectively getting it in with a turn bet anyway, though, even if you're not actually getting it in, right? Because you'll put in enough of your stack that even if you don't say the words all in, well, however you size it, it's an effective, like you're committing so much of your stack that it's going in on the river and both of you know it.
Let's do a quick thought experiment. All right.
Okay.
So Wesley, you're you in the big blind with ace 8. All right. And he bets 6 blinds.
Yeah.
How are you reacting?
Oh God.
That's a good question.
So it's tough because I played the hand and I know what he had. Going back to pre-flop, we kind of already established that his min raise sort of meant something, whether it meant he had a very strong hand or he had the absolute bottom of his range.
But you're cautious with every decision having that in your mind.
Yeah. So even facing, spoiler alert, I'm never folding top on the flop too. He ended up sizing, he bet 2 big blinds.
That surprises me, by the way, being an amateur on a board like this with pocket kings. Typically, they're like, all right, I'm scared now. It's time to start betting big, right?
Well, and yeah, so that's why if you were to bet 6 big blinds, like, God, I don't know. Can I fold that? Like, if I had something like, let's say, if I had defended with 8-3 suited, so I had like an 8 with no kicker, I might fold that. But I'm like, God, ace 8, what if he, opening button, he can have worse 8s that I'm crushing. So I think I have to just get stacked with ace 8.
So you're jamming if you bet 6 blinds?
I think so.
What if he bets 4?
It's close. Like I might jam, or I might just call and say I'm probably calling off the turn.
You're gonna have a pot size bet
No.
back. It's tough to just call there and have like a queen come off. There's so many bad cards.
There's so many bad cards. Yeah.
It sounds like 6 blinds might have more value in this exact spot for kings.
Yeah.
A little bit.
At least, yeah.
I like
This
that.
exact
That's a good.
spot.
That's a
Yeah.
good experiment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Cause like, and we'll get to the turn action here, but the fact that he did size small on the flop, I'm like, okay, I can easily call this and continue to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Did you consider raising when you bet 2 blinds? Was there ever a consideration?
It's the sort of spot where against a lot of players I would raise.
Think
But
that
against
big blind thing.
yeah, I mean top button versus big blind for 20 bigs. It's like it's totally fine to get it in there in most cases.
Did you say there's 2 shorter stacks than you at this point?
We're all within
Oh.
like 3 or 4 blinds of each other.
Okay.
You guys are so close that I think check raising all in this spot with this level of prize money
Mhm.
and all that stuff too, I think is probably a mistake because I think he's gonna respond perfectly against that.
Yeah, I'm
And
like
so,
hoping
so
he
all
has
you're doing is
king
denying
8 or
equity. You get
something.
nothing else. What'd you
Yeah.
say?
I'm basically like hoping he has king 8 or queen 8 and calls.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Which would be incredible.
Yeah,
But
pretty
that's all
unlikely.
you
Yeah.
get.
Almost everything. Yeah, he's gonna play perfectly,
Nearly perfectly.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
of course you're blocking those hands, obviously. So yeah, so I think it's tough if it's 20 blinds effective and there's 200 blind stacks, it feels, over there. That feels really different when you're forehand. But since you're all so close to each other, you're giving up potential. If he like doesn't have an instant fold, if he has an easy response, which is call, you're just giving up so much equity because you happen to flop top when you just
Yeah.
and you can just call so cleanly and easily.
mhm.
So
All right.
I like your thinking for sure in this spot.
Good to hear. If you didn't, then we're gonna just shit talk you next podcast.
Definitely big.
That's-
Might do that anyway.
We can deal with that. That's
We're
fine.
used to it.
Yeah.
You're here.
Go for it.
Go
Clear.
go
I mean, yeah. It's
invite
clearly
Matt
nothing
Berkey
they
your
hadn't
next
dealt
fucking
with.
podcast.
Yeah.
See how that goes.
Chris Jones and Matt Berkey on there and the whole group.
Oh, man. All right. So we check call the flop. So it was 16K. So pot is 70. Sorry, not K, million. We're talking millions here. So there's 76 million in the middle. That's 9.5 bigs. At this point, I am the effective stack with 125 million.
Okay.
15 and change. Bigs. Okay.
The turn card is as clean as they come. It's the deuce of hearts.
Yeah, I guess you're happy, but also a little sad.
Well, you're really hoping check, right?
Yeah.
If we get check,
In
we
the
feel
moment,
great.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting away on the turn.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but so I check and I feel like that's a pretty straightforward decision.
I think so.
What's your play in his seat here?
As kings, well, we're definitely betting.
Yeah, I mean, there's still equity to deny from straight draws and flush draws. There's still hands that are like strong 8s that are at least going to consider continuing on a wettish board. If you bet big, which most people do on the turn these days in most spots, it seems, you're going to get a lot of folds from the non-8 pairs, I would expect. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but what was the other 2 cards on the board?
It was
8, 6, 4, then deuce.
Right.
Two
So,
diamonds.
so if you had ace 6 instead, you would probably fold to turn bet a lot of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think so.
I would
Yeah.
agree a lot that I think betting small, not that this is your breakdown, but just kind of my opinion is in this specific scenario with these players, I would probably, while in different spots, I might bet bigger here. I'd probably keep it a little bit smaller this one and then set up for a river shove. Although if the turn was 2 of spades, then I might size it up.
Double flush.
Yeah.
draw.
So it brings in 2 flush draws.
I mean, there are a lot of bad cards on the river to get value, and also we could lose with, but also just hard to get value from, right? Where we may not be willing to put the money, even bet when he checks, because the diamond comes, because a straightening card comes, because the board pairs, because an ace comes, even as kings. So, and the pot is significant.
Yeah.
Especially based on the actual stacks at the table. Like winning this pot right now, I think makes us the chip leader.
Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's not a massive chip lead, but it still is. That's nice. And we've knocked Wes down a little bit. I'm more inclined to bet bigger rather than smaller, even though I acknowledge that we're probably folding out like a lot of made hands that, isn't incredible here. Like, I'm a little worried. I don't love that, but still, I'm not sure we can get good value on the river anyway. A lot of the time, like an overcard comes. If an overcard comes, we're probably going to get a fold if we decide to bet because he called. If an undercard comes or, 8 or lower, that's going to make a straight a lot of the time or pair the board a lot of the time. I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to want to put much money in, and I don't know how, or if Wes is going to want to. Diamonds can come. I don't know. I'm not sure that there's going to be many times when we're going to want to shove the river or feel like we can get value by shoving the river.
Right. So my thought process now is there any way to get it all in on the turn, like against certain types of hands. So that takes me down the avenue of, Wes, if you were in the big blind with, let's say, Jack 10 of diamonds, are there any sizings on the turn that you're check jamming against? Or are you always calling? Or
I don't.
You have to bet enough that he can't call profitably. That's the only chance
Yeah.
we got, right?
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever really like. Maybe I shouldn't even be saying this, but it's like I don't know if I'm really check jamming as a bluff here ever, at least against this type of opponent. Because if he has a hand that he would fold to a check jam, I would expect this player to just check it back now.
okay.
Right.
One of my assumptions about him, and he's done some stuff that's on the nittier side for sure, is like he is not going to risk his whole tournament life like going bluff, bluff, bluff. So if I have Jack 10 of diamonds here, I'm not expecting to have really much, if any, fold equity.
I mean, the fact that he bets the second time, not that we've actually said that he bets, but I'm sure he does, right?
Yes.
Almost, unless it's super tiny, it just seems hard to believe you're in good shape. He's doing it for value, right? And value almost always has you destroyed. Almost always. I guess you could have like ace queen of diamonds and be betting again, right? But
Yeah, any
there's like
combo, really.
there's that. But maybe he
10-9
checks
of
that back
diamonds.
even when you're this short. He might check that back if he's that careful and he's terrified about the money, you know? Take the free card.
Yeah. No, I think there's a good chance that a lot of his draws, he's just going to check and try and realize his equity on the river.
Huh. So what happens here?
So if we're kings, we know we have to bet. The question is, if we bet small, we keep the value, the made hands alive.
Yeah.
If we bet big, we take it down more of the time, but we almost never get any value.
There is a lot of value in the pot already. I'm not saying we want to just fold out everything, but there's a lot of draws in Wes's range. Like there's straight draws and flush draws, and I don't want to give those carte blanche to see the river at an incredible price.
This pot matters.
Yeah,
I think we're supposed to bet reasonably big.
Yeah. So we said there's 76 million in the pot, and you have 125. So I don't know. I like something like 55 million.
I wonder. Yeah. I was thinking, could we go a little smaller than that? But it would only be a little smaller, like 40-ish, somewhere in the 40s.
That doesn't feel right to me. I don't know why.
No?
I can't.
What do you guys think?
I can't say it well, but
yeah, that was sort of my thought. Betting like 40 something to leave a little bit of perceived fold equity. Even you're not folding kings to a jam, but when you bet 55, it sort of feels like you're committing yourself.
Yeah.
So it sort of depends on how you think your opponent's going to react. If you think your opponent's going to pick up on that and will have the capability to check jam as a bluff, I would maybe go 40. No, if I had heard what I said about him as a player in his seat, I would go with bigger sizing. And my other thought was, if I was on the button and I knew I was against a good player in the big blind, I might just rip it because my opponent would have to call with some 8x stuff because there are flush draws. There are tons of draws here, and it's so like the big blind can't have overpairs. So unless he found two pair or a straight, it's like you're gonna have to call off with some 8x.
Yeah, against someone who, as long as you know you have bluffs in your range and your opponent knows that too, your image is such, I think a shove is pretty cool. I wonder if this, I mean, I don't know what happens in this hand. I wonder if this guy's so afraid he might shove anyway. But I do think it's a pretty cool idea to shove against, if you're a good player and your opponent's a good player too. Like, yeah, they're like, you would have to call with ace 8.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, I would. Yeah. If I was in this spot against, any of the, if Makita or if Daniel Negreanu had made this final table, because he actually made it pretty deep in that tournament, I would have to call it off with ace 8 if he jammed. But no, so what this guy ended up doing, he bet 26 million. So basically 1/3.
3 blinds.
Yeah. So now with ace 8,
I think we have to call for 26.
I mean, we're not quite getting the right odds to call against better hands, but it's like not that far off.
There might be a lot of checkbacks on the river now when he's betting smaller like this. It feels like he's not in love with this hand. He could have a worse hand a little bit and be just charging us. He could have a worse 8 and be charging us, if we're a draw or we're slightly, we have second pair He's trying to keep those kinds of things in. It feels like he's trying to keep in so many weak hands that, and really near the top of our range here, right? I mean, we can have flopped a straight, I guess. We can have 2 pair, but we're pretty close there. I don't think we can fold for 3 blinds, even though it's not good.
I agree with you.
That's the problem.
It sucks, and I'm curious what what we're going to be seeing. But yeah, I'm not folding either.
Yeah. So I did.
So
call.
we all agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did call, and I just remember being like, "Go check, go check,
Yeah.
or give me an ace or an 8."
Yeah.
It sucks that an ace or an 8 are both so obvious, like such obviously bad cards for him. That's too bad.
Yeah. This pot you shouldn't put any more chips in this pot, because unless you decide to lead, I guess, on an 8 pairing or something like that.
Yes.
Which maybe you should, but anyway.
Yeah. So now I have 99 million back, and the pot is 128, I think. So river is the 9 of clubs. So flush draw misses. If he has 10-7, double gutter, it gets there. 10-9 makes a better pair.
But this guy's never betting that twice, right? Either of those hands.
Very
don't
unlikely.
think so.
Probably not. Yeah.
I think with ace 8, it's pretty obvious check.
Yeah.
I'm checking.
My God, yes.
Yeah.
Please check it back.
Yeah.
Please
You check it
back.
back,
Yeah.
and
Check,
then we
check.
really might win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If he checks it back, we might win.
You can have pocket 7s.
Yeah. 7s, king 8 suited, queen 8.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I forgot. I remember now. He doesn't jam, does he?
No, he takes all of his 5 million chips and puts them out. So he bets 65 million.
And you only have 99, right? So it's
That's so weird.
And he has me covered by like 2 blinds.
he's going to leave you. If you call and lose, you have 4 blinds, and you are you're almost alwast going out 4th.
That is like, from an amateur, that is so strong.
Yeah.
That feels
Yes.
so strong.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. It almost feels like he just made top set. Like with that
Yeah.
bet. Well, now this feels like, it sucks that it didn't go check, but I feel like we're always folding now, right? Like, aren't we always folding?
I mean, unless we're just way off on this guy,
Yeah.
all the information we have on this player makes me think like we're definitely not winning enough, even in just pure chip equity, to make the call, let alone ICM.
The massive ICM suck hole that
Yeah.
we're about to fall into, or already sort of have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I folded. There was actually something, you can't really see it on the camera if you're watching it, but you can see my eyes like flick up to him. And he had just been like sitting back in his seat, sort of relaxing, looking around. And I was like, oh, so once he realized I was in the tank, he relaxed for a second.
Yeah, that's
Right.
And then
that's
once
pretty
he
scary.
saw that I was looking at him, he like got tense and pretended to look, or he looked really stressed, quote unquote.
Good for him to try, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, and in that moment, I was just like, okay, stop even thinking. And I just threw
Yeah.
my cards away.
Yeah.
And I guess we didn't even go over it, but do you think, I would assume you guys would agree, like with kings, just put it all in here. We got like 75% back.
100%.
Yeah, I don't really see any reason to leave anything back.
I mean,
here.
9-8 has this beat, but I mean, that's the only thing, right?
Yeah, if we believe that our opponent, being you, is really interested in tournament survival and like values that to such an extent that you'll call like 50% more of the time when left with 4 blinds versus all in, then maybe it makes sense. But I don't really see that.
What are we trying to get called by if we jam with kings?
I mean, just any hero.
9-7?
9-7, 10-9 of diamonds, maybe.
I mean, it's effectively a free roll, right? Like
10-9 of diamonds, yeah.
Wes almost never has kings beat. It's
Almost never, but I'm wondering if he never calls, then why would we put it in?
I mean, we
need him to call.
we have to hope that he's tired. It's a long tournament, man.
Okay,
Like,
we
it's-
may not know our own reputation, our own image, of course, too, right? We
Right.
didn't know that Wes sees us as this tight, scared guy. We're just living our life, right? That's what guys do in the World Series when they get close to them. They start talking about how they've never been in the spot before, and they're really scared, and they really hope they make the money, and they're going to fold jacks if they get them, right? They just say that stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they understand when they do that, how damaging that is to their chip stack, because all of us hear that, and we're like, okay,
All right.
and we like try and push people around.
Let's find out if I'm wrong.
Okay.
If you have 8-9 Wes, are you lead jamming the river?
That's a good question, because I would say almost against most opponents, no.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep bluffs alive. But against this guy where I don't think he's going to bluff, and maybe he gets scared and checks back pocket 10s, like...
I think you're nailing it. Yeah.
Yeah, against him specifically, I might...
He'd be a great opponent to do it against.
I'm probably would lead basically I might do the thing where I leave myself one chip back, you know,
because that's cool. It is
because
cool.
it's cool.
Yeah.
So when he goes all in over your one chip,
you can fold
you
then.
can make the fold.
You can fold.
Yeah.
You are beat,
That would have to make the breakdown.
So if I'm this
Imagine.
player then and I have this like super awareness of my own image and everything, then I would think that jamming kings is a free roll if that were the case.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Especially since if I had 2 pair on the turn, I'm just check jamming it.
Yeah, you would think so.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But these tap decks with the diamonds and whatever else, I think so.
Did he show it after the hand?
No, he didn't show it. And so I had time at one point. Our friend Ben was on the rail and he had the stream up. Two of my friends had it up, and whoever it was told me like he had king, but I heard he had king 8, and I was just devastated. But then
Selective hearing, he was just because that's what you were hoping the entire time.
yeah, but no, then I was like, wait, he had what? King. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, for me, the fold, especially with the 9 coming, he's never going to bet king 8 now on the river.
Right. Never
No.
in a million years.
So I beat no value, and I think he's basically never bluffing. So
I think he's checking back king 8 on almost every card anyway, though. Like with these stack depths with all this money in play, they just check back that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd
like
agree
you're
with
saying
that.
you thought he might check back pocket 10s, and I was like, would he? Maybe, gosh, you know. But so it feels like king 8 is just like such an easy check back. Like he can't wait to check it back when you call the turn, I think.
Yeah.
cool. Well, yeah, that's the hand.
Yeah.
And
No,
this is incredible too, because so Wes made that fold, and then he won the Gladiators for $430,000, right?
I
So
did
incredible.
outlast him though. So
That is great.
yeah,
And that's worth like another 60K, right, or something, 50K.
50.
That's great.
Yeah.
Always
Finds a way
I'm
to
always
needle
calling.
me. Even the biggest score I've ever
I
had just
love that.
finds a way to work in the
Uh,
needle there.
That was so sick. I was shopping for my wedding ring, watching Wes on my phone while my fiance is like fucking nudging me to get off it. I'm watching this hand while she's sitting here smashing me in the hip.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're going on your honeymoon soon, right? That's what it was.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, he got
Wow.
married Saturday.
I got married Saturday, go to
Wow.
Kauai tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. I got, you know, what Wes not only thinks like a robot, he also dances like one.
Yeah.
Oh man, Minnesota dancing. I don't want to see it.
I will say this. I was at Grant's wedding and I watched Grant dance. Which
Yeah.
is the only time I've ever seen Grant dance, and I've
Just
known
kidding.
him since 2012, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, 2011. And he dances like a 3-year-old who's like seen a few videos of people dancing ever in his life.
Not a good dancer.
Yeah. He
But
throws like a
himself
dab
into it
in
with a
there
big
every
smile
20
anyway.
seconds.
He's like, you know, his arms are really all over the place. It's
I know how to get the crowd hyped. I know how to
That's what
get
they say.
yeah, the crowd gets hyped.
They do.
Yeah.
With that, before I guess we'll wrap it up with, is dancing an art or a science?
Dancing is definitely an art.
Science, yeah.
It's definitely a sci art. A sci art. I think
I think
Elon
my
Musk
mom will have something
made
to
that
say
term
about
up.
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
She's a dance instructor.
Jonathan and Grant, I appreciate you guys coming on and talking with us. It was really fun to do that breakdown as well. Everybody who's listening, I mean, that's just a taste of what you can get on their podcast. How many episodes do you guys have? Do you know?
Publicly
800?
available. I'm not exactly sure, but
400,
stuff-
500.
Yeah,
available,
yeah.
something like
We've
that.
we've done something like 1,000.
We've
total.
done it
Yeah.
at least weekly since 2014, and for many of those years it was twice weekly. So
And
Okay.
sometimes 3 times.
sometimes 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like 1,000 episodes total.
Yeah.
You can find them on, I'm pretty sure, almost every streaming platform possible.
Oh yeah.
Correct?
If there's a podcast app, they got it. It's the Breakdown Poker Podcast with the Poker Guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
Poker guys.
great
What's
way to
where else
start
can they
your
find you?
day. Where else? That's about it, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't do
we
that.
don't
We
really
don't-
tweet. We have a
we don't care.
we have a Discord, but that's meaningless unless we put the link in the description. We're not gonna do that.
You
So,
never do.
yeah.
Good thing you don't have access to it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, whatever. I mean, we're at 2 Poker Guys, the number 2 Poker Guys. That's our Twitter handle or X
Okay.
handle. If someone wants to check us out there,
Yeah.
there's not much to see. We don't really.
we're not very
We're
active there.
basically put out podcasts, and a video with our YouTube channel. I guess we are the Poker Guys on YouTube. There's a huge amount of content on there too, with us doing
I will
much
make
shorter
su-
breakdowns.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to put in the show notes links to your YouTube channel, to your your stream, your podcast streaming, all that good stuff. And I'll just also mention that they said they don't tweet much, but I did write down that you can find them at Jonathan Levy. It's Jonathan_Levy, no H in there, right? Just JON.
Right.
And then Grant Denison at Unfermented.
Yep.
That's
I don't
awesome.
really tweet at all.
Ferment. He doesn't really ferment.
I don't ferment. No, I don't.
Well, don't look at that if you don't want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things. One, I remember you guys mentioned you do private coaching. Do you still do that?
If asked, we will do it. Depending on the subject matter. Actually, last night,
Funny
interestingly enough, since like we are good at drama ha.
We are
Like
really good at drama.
Yeah, we've put in a lot of work on drama ha and its general variance, and it gets played in Portland with some frequency depending on the popularity at any given time. And last night we both did well in the drama ha tournament, and a player asked Jonathan for drama ha coaching, and we have some stuff on drama ha that's just like so valuable that I don't think there's a number we can put on it as far as coaching it.
We're trying to decide how many thousands of dollars
Yeah.
would we be willing to give this information. It almost feels, this is crazy. It feels a little bit like when Doyle Brunson wrote Super System, he gave it all away. Like, are we really going to write
this sounds very
I know, it's a little-
The whole game
self-aggrandizing.
evolved from that point on. Just please hang on to that. No one's ready for that yet.
Yeah,
Are we looking
I
at
mean,
like the godfathers of drama here? Is this what's happening?
I mean,
certain
I think there's certain things we know that I think a few other people do know, but I would guess it's like 20 or less in the world know, probably something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It took a lot of work for us to get there
Yeah.
too. But for no limit coaching,
Yeah.
yes, we are still available for that. Although we don't ever proselytize. We're not like
No,
we're not really
trying to
looking
sell
for
it.
clients. But if somebody is interested, they can reach out
Yeah,
to us.
if people want coaching, we are
Yeah.
happy to do it. We like doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're around.
Cool.
You reach out.
And yeah, so Max told everyone how to reach out. The last thing is, for the listeners out there, if you are looking to improve your game, become a winning player, even aspire to be a professional player, can't recommend these guys' podcasts enough. I started listening to it probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it definitely helped me think through hands in a different way and think about a few things that I hadn't previously been. It's a great tool to help improve your game, and entertaining, surprisingly.
No, you guys should add comedy as a hashtag or like as another subject because
should.
definitely you guys
We
are fun.
should.
Well, but we can't because then you can't speak the comedy or it no longer becomes funny.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can do
Okay.
it.
Fair. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, is there
appreciate
anything
the
else
kind
you guys-
words.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
We appreciate the kind words from
Yeah.
Wes,
Is there
and
anything
we
else that you
appreciate
guys
the-
wanted to end this on or say to end it?
No, we appreciate you having us on. You guys have a good thing going here. It's a good podcast. You
Yeah.
know, we've encountered a lot of poker podcasts over the time. You know, there's a lot of people who have had us on,
Okay.
and you guys, I think you got something. So I hope it works out for you and you keep doing it.
Not many people have a strong rapport. And we think we have a very strong rapport. You guys have a pretty damn strong rapport too. And I think it's going to serve you really well as you keep on doing this.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for
that a
saying
lot,
that, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is motivating. Well, we'll wrap it up here. You guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to go do some surfing and stuff, probably fall on my ass. I've never done it before, but I'm going to go try. Until next time, yeah, hopefully can catch up with you guys in the summer, maybe at the World Series.
All right, thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
You too.